Show.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, here's the host and star of the show, Mike
Welcome to the old Gong Show. First, in case you get bored of this next act. On the other channel is an educational show dealing with disorder called frogophobia, the fear of awakening on a lily pad with a fly stuck to your tongue. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a group for you that is so good, and here they come, the Buffoons of Rhythm. Take me in a commercial, old man. That was fantastic. We'll be back to meet our little celebrities and find out what they think of the old Buffoons of Rhythm right after this selection. Good song. Welcome back to the old Lunatic Fringe Express. We have an outrageous act every day on the Gong Show. And on Friday, we give it a check and a dirty sock. That's today. So let's find out who that act is. That's later. Now let's meet our cute little celebrities. Here's the only guy on his high school football team whose nose guard had a D cup. Old bay window himself, Jamie Foxx.
Thank you, Big Brad. Thank you. What do I think of them? I think they're a wonderful ad for Gillette. I give them a 9.
A 9. Good score. All right. Guess who's next? It's none other than that little damsel who's caused many a schoolboy to be tardy. A bushel and a peck if I ever saw one. Who else but J.P. Morgan? What do you think of the Buffoons, Jay?
They make the Hoosier hotshots look sick.
Good, 9 score. Oh, yeah. Good score. And now a man who just returned from Israel, where he appeared on that new hit game show. If it's wholesale, then the price is right. Please welcome Louis Nye.
Thank you. Thank you, oh blessed leader. I feel that anybody who'll come out and play a washboard is exciting.
Another 9, and that's 27 points for the good old Buffoons of Rhythm. Thank you for being on the show. It's a pleasure. Good old Buffoons, they are good. All right, next is a guy who's done it all in show business. Everything from asking an usher a question to actually being in an audience. Ladies and gentlemen, what a great career. And I'm sure you're going to love him. Here he comes. Oh, I love him. Here is Jack Grossman.
forgot. These two men were sitting on a park bench, strangers to each other, never saw each other. After 2 hours of silence, one of them said, "Oi, they." The other one replied, "You're telling me." When I first met my wife, I was so in love with her, I could have eaten her up, and now I'm sorry I didn't. Gentlemen. One of them was shipwrecked on an island all by himself.
You're just so good, Jack. Jay, what do you think of the humor in Dance a Quartery?
All of it, all of it.
See that? An enthusiastic seven from old Jay. Lewis?
Well, I like the repetition of the stopping and going.
An 8. You see, an 8. It's getting better, Jack. Not too bad. Long of nose.
Took a turn for the worse.
Oh, a dip. A little dip. A little dip. 21, Jack. That's good, Jack. You're fine, Jack. Here goes Jack. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, here's a guy who takes a girl to a drive-in. His motorcycle then has the guts to ask someone else if he can use their back seat. Oh, I said that. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Chuck's. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Chuck's tribute.
Swanee, how I love you, my dear old Swanee. I give the world to be among the folks in CIX. I even know my
I do not know why they did that to you. It's in the middle of your I loved your act. But then I like boogers. Now, why did you gang Gong this chap? Nobody will admit to a thing. It's been nice having you on this show. Really. Real good cheer. Good. We'll be right back for more stuff. Right after this message.
If you're in Hollywood and have a good or unusual act, why not audition for The Gong Show? You can contact our staff by calling area code 213-466-9153. Employees of NBC, the production company, members of their families are not eligible. And now, back to Chuck Barris and The Gong Show.
Welcome back to the old Gong Show. This next two guys have that certain je ne sais quoi. Which is French, right? That's right, see. It's French for the charm of piracy. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Herb and Howie.
I wonder what would have happened to the $6 million man if he'd torn his body up in the 1950s, before we had the technology. Okay, Steve, I've got this mirror in front of you. Are you ready for the last bandages to come off?
Yeah, I want to see my new body.
Okay, Steve, you just turn around here and look into the mirror.
It's paper mache.
Hey, Steve, the Army spent $6 million on you. I'd be a little more grateful if I were you.
$6 million on paper mache?
Hey, we had to mash up one heck of a lot of newspapers, not to mention the flour paste.
Flour paste?
I ask you not to mention that, Steve.
Who is the plastic surgeon, Picasso?
Steve, with your new body, no one can hurt you. But remember, you still have feeling in one big toe.
Which toe is it?
That one. Steve, I think we can reduce the pain through hypnotism. I'll count to 3, snap my fingers, and you'll fall into a deep hypnotic trance. Are you ready? 1, 2, You don't have to count, Steve. Get ready now, and I say 3. 3. Now, will Steve feel no pain?
Well, Steve, wake up.
Tune in next week.
Oh, that was fine and dandy. Louie Nye, what do you think of Herb and Howie?
I think they're a couple of... I think he's very thin.
Seven. Yes, sir. Jamie Farr.
Don't ask.
Six.
Don't ask.
Jay.
2 dummies on stage are too many.
It's been nice having you, Howie. It's been nice having you. Good old Howie and his little Herb. Yes, sir. All right. Folks, if you think that was great, wait. Now, we're cooking. Now, there are a lot of stars in Hollywood who name themselves after streets. There's Arnaz Drive, Carson Avenue, and there's the intersection of Gregory and Peck. Well, this next guy was going to do... Never mind. Ladies and gentlemen... Oh, no, I just messed it up. Ladies and gentlemen, here comes Jeff Ornelas. Good.
Show. I do it out there. Right now, I'd like to introduce to you a very good friend of mine, so I'd like you to give me a big round of applause for my friend, the Boss Skaggs.
3 a.m., it's me again, and wouldn't you know, things would have to end this way. I did my best, a perfect guest knew when to go. Perfect, you knew when to stay.
All right, how'd you like that, everybody? Hey, all right. Now I'd like to introduce to you back to 1962. Where were you in 62? Mr. Dean Martin, the Doctor of Love.
Everybody finds somebody someplace. There's no telling where love may appear. Something in my heart keeps saying...
You're too late, long of nose. Good old Jeff Ornelas finish. Let's tag it, Milt. Now, Long, what do you give this guy?
3 for Jerry Lewis.
3. See that? And 3. Jay?
6 for the band's ending.
6 for the ending. Louis?
I gave the boy a 9.
A 9.
Yeah, Louis.
That's a quasi-good score. That's 18. That's not bad. Take care, Jeff. All right. Good old Jeff. Hey, Ray, good to see you, Ray. I'll talk to you, man. Right after the commercial.
I feel so good. I got to talk.
Hey, listen, we'll be back with more stuff.
I got to talk to you, man. I feel so good.
I dig it. I dig it, but I gotta go to the commercial. Right in the break.
Just one tune, Chuck.
We'll be back.
It's a hit, man. This is a hit. This is a
What,
chart
right,
buster.
this is
This is a chart buster.
A chart buster?
It's really important, man.
Oh.
You
All right.
do it now?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Hey. Wait, this the gas. Ooh, wait, this the gas. Wait, this the gas. Wait, this the gas. Ooh, wait, this the gas. Wait, this the gas. Oh, yeah. If you don't think, if they do. If you don't think, this is a gas.
If you don't think this is
If you don't think,
If you don't think
this is a gas.
it's a gas,
If you don't think,
yes,
this is a gas.
yes.
Well,
Welcome back to the Old Gong Show, folks. Here he comes. Here he comes. The high priest of ha-ha. The prince of puns. The wizard of the unknown comic. Anybody that can't get their act together should. That's Gene. Gene, the dancing machine.
All of our acts, whether they're gonged or not, will receive General Electric show-off 8-track tape player with AM/FM radio. Features 2 speaker system plus microphone for public address or sing-along fun. And famous Manhattan brand Nature Knit shirts are mostly cotton and they're knit too for super flexibility and comfort. Manhattan Nature Knits, America's comfortable shirts. And an assortment of new paperback books from Signet, including The Rich Are With You Always by Malcolm McDonald. Hours of reading enjoyment from Signet Books. And delicious pork products from the National Pork Producers Council, who want you to try some tender pork. And Sous Vide Spun Cream Honey, the soft spreadable honey in the reusable plastic table server. Sous Vide Spun Cream Honey, the delicious pure honey spread. And from Menon, put your hair on a high-protein diet with Protein 21 shampoo, hairspray, and conditioner. And now back to Chuck Barris and the Gong Show.
Welcome back. The winner on the Gong Show at 27 points, the Buffoons of Rhythm. All right. Thanks, Del. Here's the trophy, and here's your check for $516.32. Now, the most outrageous act of the week was nominated by our staff and selected by the celebrities. And it went like this. Jim. Anyway, it was nice doing business with you. Thank you, Milton DeLuggett, the Bear with the Stars. Jamie Farr, J.P. Morgan, and Louie, it was good seeing you back again. Delabella, oh, there you are. It's me, thanks. Bye. Bye, Red.
The golden lights of the Grand Theater flickered to life, casting a warm and inviting glow over the velvet seats that awaited an eager audience. This was a place where dreams took flight and where the laughter of 1,000 souls could weave a tapestry of pure joy. In the quiet moments before the curtain rose, one could almost hear the echoes of past performances, but tonight was different. Tonight was a celebration of the whimsical, the kind, and the wonderfully strange. In a world filled with mundane routines, there existed a special corner of the airwaves dedicated to the most peculiar of subjects. While some channels focused on the serious matters of the state, another channel took a much more gentle and educational approach. It was a show that dealt with the most curious of conditions known to mankind, a disorder affectionately called frogophobia. This was defined by the experts of the heart as the sudden and inexplicable fear of awakening on a green lily pad in the middle of a peaceful pond with a tiny fly stuck to your tongue. While it sounded like the plot of a fairy tale, the show explored the depths of human imagination with such grace and humor that viewers could not help but smile at the beauty of our shared eccentricities. The atmosphere in the studio was electric as the time for the main event approached. The announcer, a man with a voice as smooth as polished mahogany, stepped toward the microphone. He signaled to the band, and with a flourish of trumpets, he welcomed the stars of the hour. "Here they come," he cried out with a twinkle in his eye, "the buffoons of rhythm." They were not merely musicians, but architects of sound who could turn a simple beat into a symphony of happiness. They moved with a synchronized clumsiness that was perfectly rehearsed, bringing a sense of light-hearted wonder to everyone watching. Right here in the middle of a commercial break, the excitement did not wane. The Fringe Express was a phenomenon that promised an outrageous act every single day on the world-famous Gong show. It was a place where the unconventional was celebrated and where every performer was given a chance to shine like a diamond in the rough. On this particular Friday, the stakes were high and the spirits were even higher. The tradition dictated that the most memorable act would receive a check in the 30 sock, and as fate would have it, today was that very day. The audience leaned forward in anticipation, wondering who would capture the magic of the moment. The announcer promised to find out who that lucky act would be later in the evening, keeping the mystery alive like a well-kept secret. Now, it was time to meet the stars who made the world feel a little smaller and a lot friendlier. The announcer introduced the cute little celebrities with a series of heartwarming anecdotes. First, there was the young man who held a unique record from his high school football days. He was the only guy on the entire team whose nose guard had a size D cup. The crowd erupted in gentle laughter, appreciating the self-deprecating humor that made him so relatable. The announcer remarked that these performers were a wonderful advertisement for the strength and resilience of the human spirit, much like the quality one might find in a trusted brand like Gillette. Then came a little damsel whose charm was so potent that she had caused many a schoolboy to be tardy for their lessons. She carried with her an aura of innocence and grace, a bushel and a peck of aerosol that seemed to scent the air with the fragrance of springtime. And who else could follow such an act but the legendary performers known to many? Even though the Hoosier hotshots might look a bit under the weather or sick to the untrained eye, their talent was undeniable. They had recently appeared on that new hit game show where the premise was simple yet profound. If it is wholesale, then the price is right. It was a testament to the idea that the best things in life are often the ones we share with a generous heart. The stage was a whirlwind of activity. There is something inherently exciting about anyone who has the courage to come out and play a washboard as if it were a Stradivarius violin. It showed that art could be found in the most humble of objects. The announcer noted that the journey from asking an usher a simple question to actually being part of a live audience was a distance of 27 points of pure joy. It was a great career move for anyone involved, and the love from the crowd was palpable. The moment everyone had been waiting for finally arrived. With a grand introduction, The man of the hour stepped into the spotlight. "Here he comes," the announcer shouted with genuine affection. "Oh, I love him. Here is Jack Grossman." Jack walked out with a smile that could light up the entire city of New York. He possessed a timeless quality, a storyteller who knew that the best jokes were the ones that connected us through our common struggles and triumphs. Jack began his set with a story about two men sitting on a park bench. They were complete strangers to each other, having never met in their entire lives. They sat in total silence for 2 long hours, just watching the world go by. Finally, one of them let out a deep sigh and said, "Oy vey." Without missing a beat, the other one looked at him and replied, "You are telling me." It was a simple exchange, but it captured the essence of human understanding that transcends words. Jack then pivoted to a more personal note, speaking about the early days of his marriage. He recounted how, when he first met his wife, he was so deeply in love with her that he felt he could have eaten her up. He paused for a beat, a mischievous glint in his eye, and then added that now he was somewhat sorry he did not do it. The audience roared with laughter, recognizing the playful banter that keeps the spark of love alive through the passing years. The stories continued to flow like a gentle river. Jack spoke of a man who was shipwrecked on a desert island all by himself. He described the repetition of the waves stopping and going against the shore, a rhythm that echoed the heartbeat of nature. He looked at a large letter on a prop and nodded with approval. "It is getting better," Jack whispered to himself. "Not too bad at all." He made a joke about a man with a long nose whose luck had taken a turn for the worse, but he turned it into a victory by reaching the number 21. It was a good number, a strong number. The humor turned toward the quirks of modern life. Jack told a story about a guy who takes a girl to a drive-in movie on his motorcycle and then has the incredible guts to ask someone else if he can use their back seat. It was the kind of audacious behavior that only happens in the movies or in the wildest parts of our imagination. In the middle of the act, someone shouted from the crowd about how much they loved the performance. Jack thanked them with a humble bow, even as he joked about liking the most unusual things in life. The show was a well-oiled machine, supported by the dedicated employees of NBC, including the hardworking Chuck Ferris. The name Ferris, it was noted, was French for the charm of piracy, a whimsical interpretation that added a layer of international flair to the evening. The announcer then shifted the tone to a playful parody of a popular television hero. He wondered aloud what would have happened to the $6 million man if he had suffered his famous accident back in the 1950s, long before the advent of advanced bionic technology. The scene shifted to a makeshift medical lab. A doctor stood before a patient named Steve, who was covered in bandages. The doctor held a mirror and asked if Steve was ready for the final bandages to come off. Steve, full of hope, expressed his desire to see his brand-new, expensive body. When the bandages fell away, Steve looked into the mirror and gasped in shock. "It is papier-mâché," he cried out. The doctor, unfazed, reminded Steve that the army had spent $6 million on him and that he should be a little more grateful. Steve was incredulous, wondering how $6 million could result in nothing but papier-mâché. The doctor explained with a straight face that they had to mash up one heck of a lot of newspapers and use an extraordinary amount of flour paste to build him. When Steve questioned the use of flour paste, the doctor hushed him, asking him not to mention that particular detail again. He joked that perhaps his plastic surgeon had been the famous artist Picasso, given the abstract nature of Steve's new form. Despite the paper-thin skin, the doctor assured Steve that he was now invincible, though he warned that Steve still had feeling in exactly one big toe. When asked which toe it was, the doctor pointed to the one that was currently throbbing. To help Steve manage the sensation, the doctor proposed a bit of hypnotism. He promised to count to 3, snap his fingers, and send Steve into a deep hypnotic trance. The doctor began the count. 1, 2. Steve, ever the eager participant, tried to help, but the doctor stopped him. Finally, the doctor shouted 3. But instead of a trance, the scene faded as the announcer promised to tune in next week, jokingly remarking that having 2 dummies on one stage was simply too many for one night. The energy shifted once more as the show moved into a segment about the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. It was noted that many stars in the City of Angels named themselves after the very streets they walked upon. There was Arnaz Drive and Carson Avenue, and of course, the famous intersection of Gregory and Peck. It was a world where reality and fiction blurred into a beautiful neon dream. Jack returned to the stage to introduce a very good friend of his. He asked the audience for a massive round of applause for a man named LeVar Skaggs. LeVar stepped out and took a deep breath, his voice filled with the soulful resonance of a man who had seen the world. He began to sing a song about the complexities of life and the choices we make. "It was me again," he sang, "and would you not know that things would have to end this way?" He spoke of doing his best, of making the perfect guess, and knowing when it was time to go and when it was time to stay. It was a poignant moment that touched the hearts of everyone in the room. The nostalgia continued as they looked back at the year 1962. "Where were you in '62?" the announcer asked as a tribute to the great Dean Martin began. Known as the Doctor of Love, Dean's music reminded everyone that everybody finds somebody someplace, and there is simply no telling where love might find you. Even the Long of Nose performers were not too late to join in the celebration. There was a nod to good old Jeff Arnaz and a series of high scores for the endings of the various acts, with sixes all around for the incredible flexibility and comfort shown on stage. As the show reached its grand finale, the atmosphere was one of pure contentment. It was like the feeling of wearing a Manhattan nature knit, known as one of the most comfortable shirts in all of America. The evening felt as enriching as a collection of new paperback books from Signet, perhaps a copy of A Richer With You Always by Malcolm McDonald. It was the kind of night that promised hours of reading enjoyment and the simple pleasures of life. The sponsors were thanked with equal warmth. There was the Pork Producers Council, who encouraged everyone to try some tender pork for their next family meal. There was the mention of sous vide spun cream honey, a soft and spreadable treat that came in a reusable plastic container, perfect for a cozy breakfast. And finally, for those looking to maintain their beauty and health, there was a nod to a high-protein diet and the benefits of Protein 21 shampoo. The curtain began to fall, but the smiles remained. The stories told, the songs sung, and the laughter shared had created a bond between the performers and the audience that would last long after the lights went out. It was a reminder that in this vast and complicated world, there is always room for a little bit of magic, a touch of humor, and a whole lot of love. The Gong Show had once again proven that the best way to navigate life is with a song in your heart and a friend by your side. And so, under the quiet stars of a Friday night, the echoes of the buffoons of rhythm faded into a peaceful silence, leaving behind a world that felt just a little bit brighter than it had before. The world of broadcasting is a vast ocean of curiosity and wonder where every frequency tells a different story. On one side of the dial, there is a very peculiar educational program dedicated to helping people understand a rare and whimsical disorder known as frogophobia. This condition is defined by the overwhelming fear of waking up one morning to find oneself resting upon a large green lily pad with a common housefly firmly stuck to one's tongue. While that show explores the depths of unusual anxieties, our attention shifts to a much more vibrant stage. Here they come, the true masters of merriment and the buffoons of rhythm. They're appearing right here in a commercial for all the folks at home to see. On the Fringe Express, we take pride in presenting an outrageous act every single day on The Gong Show. It is Friday, and as tradition dictates, we must give a check in the 30 sock. That is the moment everyone has been waiting for, and we shall find out who that lucky act is a little bit later in our program. Now, let us turn our eyes to the stage to meet our cute little celebrities of the evening. We have a young man with a truly unique history. He was the only person on his high school football team whose nose guard required a cup. It is a sight to behold, and frankly, I think he and his teammates serve as a wonderful advertisement for the smooth results of a Gillette razor. Next to him is a charming little damsel who has caused many a schoolboy to be tardy for his morning lessons. She carries with her a bushel and a peck of aerosol, bringing a fragrance of grace to the room. And of course, who else could be here but the Hoosier Hotshots? They look a bit under the weather today, perhaps even a little sick, but their spirit remains unbroken. One of our guests recently made a memorable appearance on that brand new hit game show where the contestants must guess the value of items, for if it is wholesale, then the price is right. There is something inherently exciting about anyone who has the courage to come out and play a washboard for a crowd. It takes a specific kind of talent to turn a laundry tool into a musical masterpiece. We have calculated that it takes exactly 27 points of effort to go from asking an usher a simple question to actually finding yourself sitting in the middle of a live audience. Ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing a great career in the making, and I am absolutely certain that you're going to love him. Here he comes now, a man of great charisma and wit. I truly love him. So please welcome the one and only Jack Grossman. Before we proceed with the performance, I almost forgot a story I heard recently. Two men were sitting on a park bench together. They were complete strangers to each other and had never met before that day. After 2 long hours of total silence, one of them let out a deep sigh and said, "Oy they." Without missing a beat, the other man looked at him and replied, "You are telling me. It is funny how life works. When I first met my wife, I was so deeply in love with her that I felt I could have eaten her up. Now that many years have passed, I find myself feeling a bit sorry that I did not actually do it. It reminds me of the story of the man who was shipwrecked on a deserted island all by himself, left to ponder the repetitions of life. Oh, I really do like the repetition of the stopping and the going in this act. Look there, you can see an alphabet letter, A. It is an A, and things are certainly getting better for Jack. It is not too bad at all. Sometimes a person who is long of nose might find that things take a turn for the worse, but not tonight. Oh, look at that, a little dick, 21, Jack, that is a very good score indeed. It reminds me of a guy who takes a girl to a drive-in movie on his motorcycle and then has the absolute guts to ask a complete stranger if he can borrow their back seat. It is the kind of audacity that makes life interesting. In the middle of all this, I have to say that I love your act. There is something raw and honest about it, even if some might say I like boogers now. We have employee number 669,153 from the National Broadcasting Company, the one and only Chuck Ferris. His name sounds a bit French, does it not? That is right. It is French for the charm of piracy. Ladies and gentlemen, it makes one wonder about the wonders of technology and the passing of time. I wonder what would have happened to the $6 million man if he had unfortunately torn his body up in the 1950s, back before we had all this modern technology. Imagine a scene with Steve, the bionic man of a different era. The doctor says, "Okay, Steve, I have placed this mirror in front of you. Are you ready for the last of the bandages to come off?" Steve replies with excitement, saying that he wants to see his new body. The doctor tells him to turn around and look into the mirror. Steve looks and exclaims in shock that his body is made of papier-mâché. The doctor defends the work, saying that the army spent $6 million on him and he should be a little more grateful. Steve is incredulous that $6 million were spent on papier-mâché. The doctor explains that they had to mash up one heck of a lot of newspapers and use a massive amount of flour paste. Steve repeats the words flour paste in disbelief, but the doctor asks him not to mention that particular detail. Steve asks if his plastic surgeon was Picasso. The doctor reassures him that with this new body, no one can hurt him. However, he warns Steve that he still has feeling in one big toe. When Steve asks which toe it is, the doctor points and says, "That one." To help with the potential discomfort, the doctor suggests reducing the pain through hypnotism. He says he will count to 3, snap his fingers, and Steve will fall into a deep hypnotic trance. The doctor begins counting 1, 2. Steve interrupts, saying he does not have to count. The doctor tells him to get ready for when he says 3. 3. And just like that, we will have to tune in next week to see what happens. I personally think that having 2 dummies on stage at the same time is simply too many. Now we are really cooking. There are many stars in Hollywood who decide to name themselves after the very streets they walk upon. There is Arnaz Drive and Carson Avenue, and of course, the famous intersection of Gregory and Peck. This next gentleman was going to do something special, but never mind that for now. Jack Show, how are you all doing out there? Right now, I would like to introduce a very good friend of mine to the stage. I would like you to give a massive round of applause for my friend, LeVar Skaggs. LeVar steps up and says, "Yeah, it is me again." He reflects on how things always seem to end this way. He did his best, made the perfect guess, and knew exactly when it was time to go. It was perfect because he knew when to stay. All right, how did everyone like that performance? Let us think back to Team 62. Where were you in the year 1962? We have Mr. Dean Martin, the doctor of love himself, reminding us that everybody finds somebody someplace. There is no telling where love might be hiding. You are too late, my friend who is long of nose. Good old Jeff Arnez is here. We have a score of 6 for the bends and a 6 for the ending. All right, let us go ahead. We have the priest of haha helping us get the entire rack together. We are talking about super flexibility and comfort with Manhattan Nature Knits, which are known as America's comfortable shirts. We also have an assortment of new paperback books from Signet for your reading pleasure. This includes the title A Richer With You Always by Malcolm McDonald. You can enjoy hours of reading entertainment provided by the Pork Producers Council, who would very much like you to try some of their tender pork. And do not forget the sous vide spun cream honey, which is a soft and spreadable honey that comes in a reusable plastic container. Finally, for those on a high-protein diet, we recommend Protein 21 shampoo to keep everything looking its best. The evening sun cast a long and amber glow over the bustling streets of the city as the lights of the Grand Theater began to flicker to life. Inside the walls of the studio, a unique energy was brewing, a mixture of anticipation and the kind of lighthearted chaos that only happens when the world of entertainment decides to celebrate the whimsical side of life. On the other channel, there was an educational show dealing with a disorder called frogophobia, which the narrator described with a wink as the fear of awakening on a lily pad with a fly stuck to your tongue. It was a peculiar way to start a Friday, but then again, every day on the Fringe Express brought something outrageous to the stage of the Gong show. On this particular Friday, the stakes were high because it was the day they would give a check in the 30 sock. Everyone was buzzing with curiosity, waiting to find out who that final act would be, but that was a surprise for later in the evening. Now it was time to meet the cute little celebrity